who's eating who. There are some key words before we move on to the lesson that you need to know. First one is photosynthesis. Is a process of plants using CO2 and sunlight to make sugar and oxygen. Now this is important because sugar is stored in plants. The second is organic. Organic are any living organisms. Third is producers. Makes or creates its own food. A consumer doesn't have that, so they are organisms that doesn't make their own food and they have to eat it. A decomposer is an organism that breaks down dead or decaying material. A herbivore is anything that eats plants. A carnivore is anything that eats animals or meat. An omnivore is unique because it eats both plants and animals. We talk about the food chain. Now the food chain always flows in one direction. When we factor in the sun and water, it creates food or life for a producer to grow. And in the case here, example, a producer is grass. When that grass grows and gets eaten by insects, the insect becomes the primary consumer. When the primary consumer gets eaten, let's say by a snake, it becomes a secondary consumer. And when that snake gets eaten by a hawk, the hawk becomes a tertiary consumer. Thus we see the flow of energy. Now when we break apart the food chain, there's producers and consumers. Remember, producers produce their own food. They're now called autotrophs. And when we read it in your lessons, that's what they are. Consumers cannot produce their own food, remember, and they're now called heterotrophs, otherwise known as they eat something else. Now, an example of that would be animals. Now, we talked about before in your key words, consumers, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, decomposers are all consumers. Now, the important thing to remember, the difference between producer and consumer, without autotrophs, otherwise known as producers, there would be no life on this planet. These both producers and consumers have a symbiotic relationship. They cannot survive without the other.